What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Untitled Game Channel. My name's AJ Gills. How y'all doing? It is time once more for the weekly show, or week and a halfly show, or whenever the hell I get up the nerve to actually do this show. Holy crap, I've taken off a lot more days than I actually meant to. I actually spent the last 3 or 4 days in a fucking coma. Just the way my schedules have been for work the last probably month and a half or so has just really been shittier than normal. Basically, I don't get, I'm working a full 40-hour week, but I'm not getting my 2 days off in a row. I'm getting them split up, it's like work 3, you get a day off, you have to work another 2, then you get another day off. With my job, with how it's just kind of mentally taxing on you. I've talked to full-time employees who've been doing this 20 years, and they say, yeah, it's so weird. With at least my job, I don't know about other jobs. I'm sure it's similar in those, but you just don't feel that rested after that one day. And I've been pulling that schedule for like I said, a month and a half now. So either way, I've got a full 2 days off coming up in a couple days. Just gotta power through. Either way, that was a long rant to say I'm sorry I've been out of the loop. I really haven't even had my computer on in the last couple days. It's just been busy, and I've been sleeping trying to keep up with it. So either way, we're going to be, doing what we do, reading news. I've got just a short couple stories, that I've just found fun that I want to rant and talk about. The first one, obviously, right here, it's got a pretty intense title. Days Gone director on skipped sequel. If you love a game, buy it at fucking full price. Article Robert Ramsey. The byline, don't complain if a game doesn't get a sequel. Holy shit, when I read this article. It was awesome. I'm serious. I about pissed my pants laughing. Good thing I was using the bathroom at the time. Look, I know that some people want to say, oh, AJ, that's gross. Why do you have to be that, go into that much detail? Look, if you see any late night tweets or retweets or whatever, I usually assume I'm using the bathroom and either I'm at home or I'm at work. It's usually when I use Twitter. Either way, look, kind of like the title of the show says, look, I think what this guy's saying, I think the message is correct. I think the wording is not good. It's actively pissing people off, and I think, you read the comments of this, I think I'm kind of with the people in the comments of this video. Again, you can go follow this article, all these comments. There are a lot of people who are mad at the wording, and I totally understand that. It's very aggressive. It's very, kind of like, what are you doing? I don't necessarily agree with the don't complain portion if the game doesn't get a sequel, although I can't explain why a game won't get a sequel. Although I think Days Gone, again, people in the comments were mentioning this. I think I looked this up earlier in the week, but I've forgotten it since then. I think it actually sold fairly well, despite its actually kind of lackluster reviews early on. Although I would say, I think this review right here, open world comfort food with a survival horror spin, actually I think that's pretty right. Although I also saw people in the comments saying that this game is like 10 hours longer than it should have. I say that was 10 extra hours of awesome that we got, because I absolutely loved the shit out of this game. I loved the fluffy ending, Deacon and his wife and everything. I still think they have places to go with it, but and I still want a sequel, even though I don't like the rumors that we heard that apparently the sequel would involve open world. Not necessarily open world, but open. What's the term they used? I can't remember the term that they used. Basically, how I'd read it, it's stuff like the hubs, the different encampments, like those would be open universe to anybody. Basically, you'd see other players running around in their open world, running around in those encampments or whatever. It's just stuff that I absolutely hate because everybody looks weird. You see people dancing around, kind of like the Destiny hub. It's like, that's not what I want out of a Days Gone sequel. I would actually throw up on camera if I had to look at that. But either way, I've gone all over the place. Let's look at this. Oh boy, this whole Days Gone thing just won't stop churning. Speaking in Dave Jaffe's latest interview video, Days Gone director John Garvin has strong feelings on the sequel situation. As you'd expect, Garvin left developer Sony Bend around 2 years ago, so he's free to speak his mind on Jaffe's show. And it hasn't taken long for Garvin's impassioned comments to do the rounds on the internet. And I quote, "I do have an opinion on something that your audience may find of interest, and it might piss some of them off." Garvin, well, that's saying it lightly. Garvin admits, as transcribed by VGC, "If you love a game, buy it at fucking full price. I can't tell you how many times I've seen gamers say, 'Yeah, I got that on sale. I got it through PS Plus, whatever,'" end quote. Okay. Again, the message is correct. Wording, not so much. Because look, it's definitely provocative. It's definitely angry. But really, this is something that I think a lot of gamers aren't. Trying to think how to put this. I think a lot of I'm trying to think of the best way to put it, because I don't want to say that gamers are unaware that buying things at full price is really how you support developers, but I think so many people, and I think some understandably, I mean, this is a very luxury, it's a luxury hobby. It costs a lot of money to buy consoles and games and everything at full price. I'm lucky enough to do it because of the situation that I currently live in, which obviously is not everyone's situation. So I don't know, man. It's hard to say that he's 100% right, but I don't think he's 100% wrong either. Because again, I think it's, especially with this whole, especially because Days Gone sequel got axed by Sony, I think it is a big thing that, look, this game, while people after launch were really starting, the people who played it really kind of fell in love with it, and it did kind of get a small cult following a while after launch, but it took a little bit to get there. Like some people in the comments make a point. Maybe developers shouldn't release games broken, and they, and I get it. You don't want to pay. Oh, I'm supposed to pay full price for a game that's broken. Okay, look, developers should, maybe do a better job of quality control / making sure the game is in a much more workable state. At launch. I would argue Days Gone was not that broken. I think I had, in my first playthrough of the game, which I did on camera, I had one honest-to-God broken moment. I'm trying to think. I literally fell off the map and I had a quest bug out, but all I had to do was restart the game and reload it and shit, and the game worked fine. So I really only had one real issue with the game at launch, so I don't know what a lot of people are saying by the game was broken, because I think the game actually ran perfectly fine, but that's beside the point. Or maybe they're just making a generally, making a more general comment there that developers need to launch games in a more workable state. Although I think a lot of that is not necessarily the developer, because I'm sure the developer wouldn't want to release a game until it's 100% ready, but then they have to deal with publishers and the public's perception and everything. I mean, hell, again, go back to Cyberpunk 2077's launch and how that giant dumpster fire. I mean, look, I've said before, I don't 100% blame CD Projekt Red for that one, because I think that they were in a terrible situation dealing with not only COVID, dealing with the back and forth between Sony and Microsoft of who was going to announce their console first, who was going to announce the price, when it was going to freaking come out. That one took forever, and then they kind of realized, oh shit, we're like a week after next-gen launch. I think they thought they were going to beat those dates. Again, total guess on my part, a theory. I think that what was going through CD Projekt Red's mind was that they were going to beat the console launch by maybe a couple weeks, so they could maybe fine-tune the games on next-gen. And then they realized right there that, oh shit, okay, next gen's going to be out by the time we launch, so we have to make sure this runs really well on next gen, and that maybe caused the previous gen issues, specifically the PS4 issues. again, a total guess on my part. So I think some of it has to do with publishers and console. It's not always the developer's fault that a game doesn't fully work. So I mean, just sometimes stuff doesn't get caught by QA. Once it gets out into the wild, shit breaks. You know, it just kind of happens. Welcome to the industry. And like I said, I think some of it does go to public pressure. I mean, again, going back to the Cyberpunk 2077 situation, imagine the PR shitstorm that they were already going through for delaying it as many times as they did. I mean, I don't know. I guess you could argue that delaying it again would have caused less of an issue than what happened, but still, it was kind of, as I always kind of put it, they were in a damned if they do, damned if they don't situation. So to the comments of people going, and again, you can go to this article, link in the description, and find the actual comments. You know, I kind of found it interesting. Like I said, I agree with some, I disagree with others, that yes, developers should probably focus on releasing more quality at launch than they do sometimes, but I don't always think that's the developer's fault. You know, here we go, AJ defending the big corporations again. Like I always hate saying, well, give the big corporations some slack, guys. But I do think sometimes it's not the developer's fault. You know, I mean, yes, it's an issue with the industry, but it's not on the developer's side 100% of the time. You know, and then there's, you know, people who say, well, you know, I don't have the funds to support, you know, or to buy all my games full price, and I don't have the money to do this and money to do that and this and this and this. I totally understand that, you know, I mean, because I was that way, you know, from until probably about 2 years ago, when now I can buy anything I want at full price. I really don't have to worry about it, because again, it's like I said, I have certain situations in my life that I really don't have to worry about too terribly much in terms of my expenses, so that I can kind of do this, you know. So I totally understand that. I was that way in college, you know. I rented games a lot. I bought used when I couldn't buy brand new. You know, that's just I how to put it. It's I understand that is a nature of the beast, but at the same time, we have to admit that buying games at full price is the best way to support a developer, and to support a game franchise to have another one made down the line. I get it. I guess getting things through PS Plus, I guess, is also a good way, especially because that's Sony putting out maybe a cult title or something that, you know, maybe to judge whether or not to maybe greenlight a sequel. And who knows, maybe all the stink that people are throwing. I mean, I think there's a petition or something going on right now for the Days Gone to get a sequel. Either way, this whole kind of back and forth argument I'm going is, look, I think what he's saying is correct. I think buying at full price is probably the best way to support a developer, and I get it. Well, what if I don't know if I'm going to like the game? What if I don't know this? What if I mean, at that point, you know, that's just kind of the nature of making a purchase in any field. You just kind of have to hope. I mean, how many times have you said, oh, this movie looks cool based on the trailers, and then you go to see it, and oh, wow, that movie was ass. And you know, I've paid for a lot of shit. I sat through all of Split. Yeah, I know. Come at me, people who want to say, "Oh, Split was amazing." No, it wasn't. But yeah, man, I can't completely denounce what this guy's saying, because again, buying something at full price is the best way to support developers. I keep saying it because it's fucking true. I understand there are arguments for why maybe you'd buy things on sale. I buy things on sale. Not going to say I don't. I get things through PS Plus. I think I got the new Oddworld game because it was free with PS Plus. I don't know why it was free with PS Plus, but I got it. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll put it in my library. I might check it out later. You know, I'm not saying that you shouldn't use sales. You shouldn't go through PS Plus. You shouldn't do these things. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying if you want to directly and completely support a developer, yes, buying at full price is the best way to do it. More than anything, it's the concept of voting with your dollar as opposed to voting with your voice on Twitter, or voting with campaign. Again, I'm just going to keep going back to Twitter. I don't know why I'm acting like this is going to be a list. I think that's the best way to put it. Either way, long rant will not maybe over, but, you know. Garvin's arguments is that by buying a game at full price, you're showing direct support for the developer. You're doing your part to maximize profit. And in the case of Days Gone, Garvin's suggesting that if more people grab the game at launch, Sony may have been more open to a potential sequel. Jaffe asks how buyers would know if they're going to love a game before they've even played it. Garvin responds, and I quote, "I'm just saying you don't. But don't complain if a game doesn't get a sequel if it wasn't supported at launch," end quote. And I think that's a very good point. Now, I'm not going to say don't complain because, I mean, again, like I said, back in the day, oh, hell yeah, I rented a lot. Because I actually had video stores in my area. So, yeah, I know that's a weird thing to remember. But, so I rented a lot. I bought used. Oh, yeah, I'll admit it. I think I have copies of Alan Wake that were bought used. Absolutely loved that game. Never gotten a sequel, and it still pisses me off to this day. So I'm not gonna say that you're not allowed to complain if you buy used or whatever. But you know what? Maybe if you did buy a game, maybe if more people supported it at launch at full price, it would have gotten that sequel into production. It is a factor that has to be. It's a factor that has to be. That has to be thought of, and if you want to act like, oh no, it's not, you're lying. It has to be because now everything is, well, how much money can we make up front? Can we make at launch? Because that's probably when our profits are going to be maximized. Not down the road, not in 3 years. It's at launch. And if they, if the first game didn't have great launch sales, they're going to be wary. A publisher is going to be wary for a sequel because they have to think. They can't think, oh, well, once this game hits sales and bargain bins and people can kind of get it for pseudo free, that's when we're going to make our money. No, it's going to be at launch at full price. Whatever. Garvin continues, I think the uptick, and I quote, "I think the uptick in engagement with the game is not as important as did you buy the game at full price, because if you did, then that's supporting the developers directly," end quote. Of course, it's not always that simple. The obvious truth here is that not everyone can afford to buy games on release. For many gamers, gaming is an expensive luxury. It is. And suggesting that these people are in part at fault for Days Gone lack of a sequel is a slippery slope. We would hope that Garvin knows this and he's just trying to make a point, but it doesn't come across particularly well. No, I think that's the best part. I think he's trying to make a point. I think he's trying to be loud and boisterous, and I think he has a point. He really, though, I think said it in a way that's going to piss a lot of people. That has pissed a lot of people off, and fairly. I will say that fairly it has pissed a lot of people off. And keeping on this little topic here, Days Gone lead designer thanks fans for playing the game no matter how much money they spent. Article Liam Croft, the same thing with Push Square. You're more than likely already know what this is in response to, as part of the kerfuffle over a Days Gone 2 pitch being rejected by Sony. Former Bend director John Garvin controversially said that fans should buy games at full fucking price, or fucking at full price, whatever, if they love them. And I quote, "I can't tell you how many times I've seen blah, blah, blah." We covered all that. And now on the completely opposite end of the spectrum, Days Gone lead designer Eric Jensen has sought to assure fans he appreciates them no matter how much money they spent on the game or when they purchased it. Taking to Twitter, Jensen said, whether you picked up #Days Gone on day one, borrowed it from a friend, watched someone else play it, or tried it with PS Now or PS Plus, I appreciate you. Thank you for playing our game. The outpouring of love and support for our game and our studio has been incredible," end quote. Okay, that's basically what we just read there. As well as the other sources of appreciation, Sony Bend's lead designer must surely be referring to the popular petition set up to try and get Days Gone 2 approved. Since we reported on it last week, it has garnered more than 60,000 signatures. It's an impressive amount, but unfortunately, it's unlikely to have an effect at Sony's decision. It's because it's about money. It's not about what people want. Don't forget that the Days Gone developer is now reportedly already hard at work on something brand new. Some will continue to back John Garvin's comments and wish to support the studios on day one, while others will line up with this new statement from a member. Well, I see, but I don't see. This is the thing. I don't think this is a refutation of what he's saying, though. This what Jensen is saying isn't a refutation of what Garvin said, because I think what Garvin said again is technically correct, if not said very harshly and oversimplified. But what he said isn't wrong. What Jensen is saying, look, no matter what, though, we appreciate you playing the game and loving it and supporting it. Because obviously, you know, if you go out, you create something and you put it out there for the fans to enjoy, obviously you're going to love that people loved it. And I'm sure Garvin would probably say the same thing. But at the end of the day, this is a business. It's going to come down to dollars and cents. And and I don't think Sony thinks that this new IP that has fan support, but maybe didn't make all that. Because I think I saw somebody compare this to the launch sales of like God of War 2018, which I think they said this game outsold it or something in its launch window, which is really weird to me that this game would outsell God of War. But let's say it did, and I'm I'm remembering that comment correctly, and it whatever. Like I said, maybe I either misread it or I'm misremembering it. But again, let's say it outsold another really big franchise. Here's the issue: Days Gone was the first of its IP. While God of War still has nostalgia and God of War to draw on, that one you can let maybe not have a great launch window, but let that one steam and kind of grow right off that launch window. With a new IP, it's got to be all about that launch window. It's all about those early sales. Yeah, like I said, I don't know here, man. I just, end of the day, like I said, I think, because I've gone so far into the weeds with this, I know, shocker. I think Garvin's right. I think Jensen's right. I think, again, like the title says, right message, wrong words. You want to support a developer, the best way to do it. It's not through Twitter. It's not through a petition. It's not through playing a game and saying, oh, I really like that game. It is to buy the game at full price. I know it's not always viable. I know it's not always possible. Like I said, I was in that I've been in that position. I'm not anymore. I buy pretty much everything I do right now full price. I mean, don't get me wrong. I still take advantage of sales, because that helps me sometimes when I'm like, hey, here's but most of the time I buy stuff on sale. It's older games. Rarely do I buy new games on sale. Most of the time I just buy them at full price. Yeah, man, I don't know. And the reason I say I don't know is because I'm curious what you guys think. Am I totally off here? Can you at least understand what I'm saying? That it's that the message, I think, is correct. If not the words, maybe not, but I think that it's said a little incorrectly. But I think the key message there is right. I mean, can you get past kind of the trend of, God damn it, I'm sorry, I'm getting so distracted by this Mortal Kombat thing. Ugh, God damn it, it's not the original Mortal Kombat. I don't want to see it. Where was I? I was getting into the weeds with something. Your opinions on Garvin's comments. Are you like me? Right message, wrong wording? Do you think it's all wrong? I'm curious. Well, moving on to a bit of a smaller topic, or just an update from something from a couple of weeks ago. Apparently, Sony is backtracking on the PS3, PS Vita online store closures. The PSP store is still closing. Article Liam Craft pushed Square. This is actually a case I will hand it off to backlash and Twitter anger and all that stuff. When it works, but. When they get a big company to do something, but so I gotta give credit where it's due, and so forth. Sorry if it sounds like I'm a little out of it. I in between the last article and this one, I ate a whole bunch of Chinese food, and I'm getting sleepy now. God, it was good though. I don't regret it. Where was I? Sony has officially confirmed it will be backtracking its decision to close the PlayStation stores associated with the PS3 and PS Vita consoles. The PSP online storefront will still close on the 2nd of July, 2021. But if you're still using the PSP online storefront, I'm sorry. get a Vita. Uh, but the ensuring closure no longer affects the PS3 and the Vita. Confirmed to the PlayStation blog post, Jim Ryan said, and I quote, "Recently we notified players that the PlayStation Store for PS3 and PS Vita devices was planned to end this summer. Upon further reflection, however, it's clear that we made the wrong decision here. So today I'm happy to say that we will be keeping the PlayStation Store operational for PS3 and PS Vita devices. PSP commerce functionality, will retire on July 2nd, 2021 as planned." End quote. He continues, when we initially came to the decision to end purchasing support for PS3 and PS Vita, it was born out of a number of factors, including commerce support challenges for older devices and the ability for us to focus more on our resources on newer devices, where a majority of our gamers are playing on. Jim Ryan says that Sony recognized the passion of its fans, that its fans possess for purchasing classic titles on PS3 and PS Vita, and is pleased the company was able to find a solution and continue to offer that content to consumers. And I quote, "I'm glad that we can keep the piece of our history alive for gamers to enjoy while we continue to create cutting-edge new games, game worlds for PS4 and PS5, and the next generation of VR. Thank you for sharing your feedback with us. We're always listening and appreciate the support from our PlayStation community," end quote. More like people were really pissed and you caved. But look, this is one of those situations where I sit here and go, look, when they announced this closure, was I sitting here going, was I sitting there going, ha ha ha, everyone, Sony is well within their rights and this is a good move? No, I was like, look, I get why they were doing it. It kind of makes sense. At the end of the day, am I happy about this? No. Is this just like ending my world? No. I'm glad that they're making this decision to keep them open, because it just means that I can get more use out of my Vita mostly. But I just wanted to include this article just for a little bit of a kind of a closure to this this piece of news. Moving on to something that I just kind of want to rant a little bit about right now. Assassin's Creed should go smaller with its setting, not bigger. This is a GameSpot article. Jordan Ramey. If you see the Twitter comments on this one, even without reading the article comments, you can kind of see that people are split on this. You have people who are going, yeah, of course they should make them smaller and focus on other things, focus on what makes Assassin's Creed, and then you have the people who are like, no, the recent giant massive games have been great, and this and this and this and this and this. And I'll say this, you'll probably find in that split, the people who like the modern Assassin's Creed games more are people who were not fans of the franchise back in the day. And the people who are kind of iffy to don't like the modern games loved the old games. I am in that yeah, it's the former. No, or is it the latter? Former's the first, latter's... Yeah, I'm in the latter category. I loved the way the original games work. And look, here's why I like the original games. I like the way that they were able to take their Assassin-Templar feud and put it into all of these different conflicts and time periods. Yeah, the first one was a little on the nose, being in the Crusades, but again, it introduced the Pieces of Eden and everything. The modern day story was sparse, but again, first game in the franchise, it ended on a weird note. It just kind of seemed like it was The Sopranos. It ended mid-sentence. Don't get me wrong, first game wasn't perfect in doing this, but I still like the setup of the Assassins and the Templars. I liked the mystery that, that neither side is really 100% right. They just have their different views and opinions on the world and everything. I played the game back in 2007 when it first came out. Absolutely loved it. Sequel, look, I'm probably one of the few people that will say this. I actually don't have some massive love of the second game. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a good game. I've got no issue with it. But I am not a massive fanboy of the second game. I don't know what it was. I actually like Brotherhood a little bit more than I like 2. But, we can delve into that in another video or something if you want me to break down what I specifically like and didn't like about each individual Assassin's Creed game. But again, you then you move into the Italian Renaissance. You have, you have the famous families with the Medicis, but mostly the entire games. I think in a weird way, too, maybe focuses a little too much on Ezio's story of revenge for his family. I think maybe if they... I mean, I don't hate the idea of the revenge story, but I think maybe if they had a little bit more of the Borgia plot, like coming kind of how he kind of worked his way and his Templar connections to becoming the Pope, I think maybe if that one was a little more forefront as opposed to, because it just kind of seemed like we connect all these dots at the very end of the game, and it's a whole thing with me with 2. I like the continuation of the Borgia plot in 3 or in Brotherhood. I really hate Revelations. I'm going to be honest. It's down to the bottom of my list. Let's be honest, that game was a filler game between Brotherhood and 3. 3 could have been a lot better. Honestly, I'm in a weird place with that one because I don't hate... This is just really annoying me, seeing it moving down there. Because I don't hate AC3. I really don't. I think that they did some cool things with the world. The gameplay was really solid. The story had some moments. Once I ever do my AC3 LP, you'll see what I mean. I'll kind of go over the individual pieces. But I like Connor as a character. I like the end to Desmond's story, if not a little vague. But overall, I really did like the Desmond story arc. I really like the modern day stuff. My only issue with the stuff with Layla and the current modern day run that we're doing is the fact that I think some stuff was explained through outside sources. At least Revelations explained, what's his name? Isn't it Jordan Cross? Isn't he he's the, oh God, I'm trying to remember his backstory really, it's something Cross. Was it Alex Cross? I can't remember now. It's been a while since I played the earlier games. I got to go back and, man, I'm a bad fan. He was a character introduced in the comic books, then he was brought into AC3. It's kind of one big thing that Revelations explains, because Revelations really dives deep into Desmond's backstory and it kind of explains Cross and, his connection with the Assassins, and explains why he's the modern day kind of real threat villain. That, I don't want to say the face of the Templars, but, he's the actual, let's be honest, Vidic isn't going to be running and parkouring off walls trying to kill us. But I know I'm talking real fast because I'm trying to get through this massive franchise and hit the bullet points here. But yeah, I actually like 3. I like their attempt to kind of show that the Assassins and the Templars didn't stay on one particular side of the war. They were on both sides, and I think that could have been done a little better, but all in all, I still like what they attempted with 3. I still like the fact wove our plot into the major goings on of the time and the particular conflict. I think that really worked, being at like Bunker Hill, the burning, was it the burning of Boston? I think that's what it was. We were at multiple events of the American Revolution. We were at the Boston Tea Party. I believe we were at the the Courthouse Massacre. We were at so many big moments there. I mean, that was really cool. 4 introduced the new modern day stuff with Abstergo Entertainment. That was kind of interesting. Let's be honest, that was a pirate game. This is one of those that kind of gets a pass for me because I really love the pirate aspect of it. If you're gonna take your assassin stuff and if you're gonna make a something game with assassin-y fringes, kind of like Black Flag was, and I'm kind of gotten that way with Valhalla, even though I really need to kind of dive back into that game. But if you're gonna, because I feel like that one they were trying to make a Viking game with Assassin's Creed trimmings. It's kind of like what Black Flag was. It was a pirate game with Assassin's Creed trimmings. The game worked. It was great. You got to see a lot of really cool characters, but I think it kind of started this trend where we're set in a time period, not necessarily a conflict. We're seeing the Crusades, even though, there was, I guess you could say, well, you were in the Italian Renaissance in the sequel. Yeah, but again, there was a lot of upheaval within the Italian, within society at the time. Like I said, I think they could have brought the whole Borgia leader, Rodrigo Borgia becoming Pope. I think they could have brought that a little more out into the forefront and a little more obvious, because I think there could have been a little bit more. I'm not saying that the series has ever been perfect, but I think that there was a massive time of upheaval, and it really did focus on particular historical events. I know Revelations was about Constantinople, even though I really don't know a lot about it. Was it Constantinople? I think it was Byzantine Empire. I don't fucking remember. I really don't like Revelations. 3 being set in the Revolutionary War, but 4 was just the age of pirates and kind of the downfall of pirates and everything in the Caribbean. Yeah, you could argue that's a conflict, but it's more of a time period, I'd argue, and it kind of set that that idea of that's how Assassin's games are going to be, because after that, then we bring into Unity, which again, not set in a conflict kind of era, set in a time period of oh my god, why can't I think of I'm only thinking like revolutionary Paris, but that's not correct. I don't know why I can't come up with the term right now. Either way, being set in Paris during the revolution, we see Napoleon, we see the storming of the Bastille, but that's about the one like real historical moment I know out of that one. A good game, really interesting story. I really like the love story between Arnaud and Elise. You see some really cool dynamics of the Assassin's Order, especially with how it relates to the Templars as we're getting more and more into the modern day. That's really cool. Yeah, there are issues with the fact that the game was fucking broken. But you know what? It kind of got fixed near the later half of its life. I mean, again, I'll do an LP for that one down the road. But I still like that one for what it was. Then we move into Syndicate, which I actually really liked. Syndicate. I really, 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 really liked it. I think it's just that weird completionist side of me that likes running around doing the random like district clearing. I really had a lot of fun doing that kind of stuff. But I think even then, I think Assassin's Creed was really starting to show its... I think showing its wear, because it's trying... I think that was the time that I think it was showing that it was really trying to become an RPG more so than an action game. Again, it's just that I don't think they were really they're really setting, again, not, they were setting themselves in a time period, not a conflict. So it's kind of hard to show how the Assassins and the Templars are kind of using world conflicts to battle each other. And again, I think that's the point I'm trying to make here. I know I'm ranting, and I'm going to get into more ranting as we go. I like to see the Assassins and the Templars weave their stories into these world conflicts to show this is how these two battle each other. They don't battle each other every day. They do it through world conflict. It's very interesting to me. But being set in the Industrial Revolution, especially in England, interesting. I like the whole twin concept, but yeah, I think the game was a little bland. I didn't mind the combat. I liked the old style combat, where it's more button mashy than the current kind of like Dark Souls dodge parry system. I know so many people are going to say, oh, just because it's a dodge parry system doesn't mean it's Dark Souls. I know, it's a comparison. But yeah, I like the old, more button mashy style combat. I felt more assassin-y to me. Now it feels more like you're a warrior, but that kind of comes into the fact that I think the modern Assassin's Creed games, you're not an assassin. I mean, let's be entirely honest. You haven't been an assassin for 3 games. And I'll kind of go into that in a second, but like I said, I always thought, like in the original games where you sat, yeah, I know it's boring to just sit and guard all the time, but sitting guarding and counterattacking and all that, that's kind of, that makes more sense. You're an assassin. You're not there to club someone down with brute force. You're looking to precision strike, and you're waiting for them to make the mistake so you can parry and get the clean kill. Like that made sense to me, but whatever. But what I was saying about the modern games not really being Assassin's games, because Origins, look, I get it. It's going to be a little different because it is kind of the founding of the Hidden Ones, which later became the Assassins. It shows the cult that later became the Templars, and you see the very start of it, hence Origins. It made sense. Bayek was more of a warrior because that's kind of his position as a Magi. I liked Origins way more than I liked Odyssey. Then Odyssey came out, because Origins to me at least still felt like an Assassin's Creed game. I really liked the way he took down the cult members. I liked the RPG elements. Yeah, did I have issues with the combat system? Yeah, did I not? There are certain things I have minor issues with. But all in all, Origins was pretty okay by me. I really liked what they did. Oddly enough, Ashraf Ismail connected to that one. Maybe that's a big thing there. Either way, then we move on to Odyssey, and Odyssey just fucking killed it for me. I hated Odyssey. I mean, will I ever go back to it? Yeah, because I'm going to play all the games on the, I have an LP going. It's just, it's such a slog. Just because if you want to talk about a game that's just using the Assassin's Creed name, it's Odyssey. It's not an Assassin's Creed game. It's a Roman, or it's a Greek Peloponnesian simulator, kind of. The whole war map doesn't really work, in my opinion. The only thing I really liked out of it was the cultist menu, but beyond that, I thought naval combat was a fraction of how cool Black Flags was. The game just didn't feel fun to control after a while. Combat I didn't like, the leveling system and infiltrating little bases, and just the game felt so soulless to me. It was really boring. And then again, the fact that the story just didn't feel like an Assassin's Creed story, because it really doesn't involve, I know it's before, it's still with the hidden ones, it's still with all this stuff, but still, it just, I didn't get that sense of scale that of what even Origins, because I think Origins even kind of still gave me that scale of the assassin, because again, it's the start, it's the ember that started the flame that we see in the first game, of this war between these two ancient orders. Odyssey didn't give me any of that. It really didn't. It just, Odyssey didn't click with me. In Valhalla, I'm getting flickers of it. I like that they include the hidden ones. I'm liking certain things, but at the end of the day, I think it's kind of like Black Flag, and I need to play more of it before I can give you a full take on it. But it's a Viking game, first and foremost. Let's be honest. It's a Viking game. It's not an Assassin's Creed game. Or it's not an Assassin's game. But you know what? They brought back the hood. They're bringing back certain things that really made me like Assassin's Creed. So I don't know. Like I said, maybe I just need to get more into it. It still hasn't grabbed me. But that's the whole thing. Holy crap, I'm out of breath after that long thing. I haven't even started reading the article. Sorry about that. I had to go through that, because that's like another video I've been meaning to make, is just talking about this franchise. Because I've just been sitting around, like at work sometimes, just letting my mind wander and thinking about the Assassin's Creed franchise. And like I said, to me, it all comes down to how we see the Assassin Templar conflict kind of mesh with the god damn it, mesh with the conflict of the time, and I just don't think we've seen that in the modern ones. Well, all right, let's see here. Since the start, each mainline Assassin's Creed game has typically grown in size and suspended that and suppressed that of the previous title, with 3 games in the prequel trilogy: Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla, dwarfing all the others, with the exception of Black Flag, which continues to have one of the largest maps in the franchise to date. I love that map. And though I've enjoyed my long journeys across the deserts of Ptolemaic Egypt, I hope I pronounced that correctly, war-torn island communities of ancient Greece, didn't like it, and fields of Anglo-Saxon England, I think it's time for Ubisoft to create a smaller setting for an Assassin's Creed game. Feudal Japan! Jesus Christ, people have been pitching this. Assassin's Creed Rising Sun, we've got the title. Sorry. A smaller setting could condense the overall experience of Assassin's Creed, which would ensure certain storylines can be better realized and that players can more easily experience the best that the game has to offer. Holy shit, he's right. It's kind of what I've been getting at. Now it's worth pointing out that I don't think a big map is inherently a bad thing, though I still have my qualms with the pacing of Odyssey's story, especially Chapter 5, which can seriously drag. There's such a joy of riding your horse to the top of a hill, looking out at the glistening ocean, noticing a tiny speck of another island in the far distance, and knowing that you can set sail for it and reach it without encountering a single loading screen. Odyssey wants you to explore because your character Cassandra wants to explore after being cooped up on the same island for most of her life. Couldn't that... I guess I have a small issue here, because shouldn't it be Cassandra / Alexios and his / her life, because they're the same character, really? Whatever. Of the three games in the prequel trilogy, Odyssey has managed to take advantage of its staggering large map size the best, arguable. Utilizing a fully realized grace to deliver the promise of sending a player back to an Odyssey to reunite their biological family, only to discover that family is what you make of it. Blood does not... Really? Is that what the story was about? Okay. Because again, once we get to the Spear of Leonidas and we're getting into the weird way to advance that thing, it just... Shit started not making any sense in that game to me. I did not get that aspect of the main story at all. I don't like the stealth. I don't like the combat. The game is such a slog to play through, in my opinion. And again, I wasn't even that big of a fan. I mean, the map looks good. I'll say that. I don't have any issue with the actual way the map looks and the way, you get from place to place. I don't have an issue with that. I have an issue, I guess, with the things you do, so whatever. That's the map acting in service to its story. Cassandra's Tale is an adventure with some awesome side stories scattered around the vast map. I think a lot of those are too long and too sporadic. Whatever. There are encounters such as meeting Daphne at the very start of the game and learning about the Daughters of Artemis and an all-woman community that involves you in a side quest that continues until you nearly reach the end game level cap, as well as running into and falling in love with Kyra over the course of the phenomenal 9-part Silver Islands questline. It all helps sell why Cassandra would regularly deviate from her path, which in theory should have been rather linear and stretch her journey over the course of years. It's a lifelong odyssey to discover the meaning of family, which is reflected in the giant setting that is filled to the brim with many families to meet. Some are dysfunctional, others are loving, but they all shape Cassandra through the... okay, but see, I didn't even get that because I feel like characterization in that game is so fucking stiff. Just, to me... Odyssey missed the mark by a wide berth. But again, my opinion, whatever. You can't really say the same for Origins of Valhalla, both of which possess stories that suffer a bit from the large setting they take place in. Origins is a story of a cop and his wife, and how their quest for revenge twisted their actions so that they protected those in power and didn't serve the people. Okay. The map is large and filled with many side quests and activities, but rarely do they have much to do with the fact that you're aiding Cleopatra and seizing control. Okay, I can see that, yeah. From others to benefit her. Yeah, okay. I can agree with that. Most quests actually see you aid the people, which goes against the overall story of Origins trying to tell you. Yeah, I think Origins overall, the whole thing with Cleopatra could have been a little clearer, sure. Only a few storylines support how Bayek and Aya are in the wrong for most of the game, but they're drowned out. The setting is so big. See, I don't think that they're necessarily in the wrong, but whatever. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not remembering Origins plot as well as I think I do here. But look, the whole thing about Odyssey being about family, okay. And maybe it's because I haven't finished it, but like I said, I found that game such a slog to finish. Valhalla is much better. England is huge and thus filled with dozens of side activities, collectibles, and storylines to drown out the handful of quests that are tied to its overall narrative. The story of an invader trying to escape his cursed fate, only to learn that living for the here and now is a far more satisfying life than striving for a glorious afterlife. It's difficult to invest in Ivor's struggle to avoid... Again... Her fate, you're trying to be a little too progressive there. It's also Eivor, I know. GameSpot, come on. When she spends so much blah 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 doing things that don't relate back to that. Okay, but see, but all side quests don't need to relay back to the main story and the main plot. See, that's a little. I have a little bit of an issue with that. And again, I think this maybe comes from somebody who's giving Odyssey a little too much credit. That, the story, everything. I'm like, I got lost in doing certain side quests, in Odyssey, that I'm just like, what the fuck are we doing anymore? Like, I really don't remember what the main plot of the game was at one point in time. And hell, it's been so long since I played it that I don't remember anymore either. But they're kissing that one's ass a little too much, A. B, like I said, the whole progressive shit of saying, look, if you want to say that, if you say, only refer to Alexios or only refer to Eivor or Eivor, whatever, As a guy, you want to say, well, it should be he, she. Fine. Same goes the other way around. If you're only going to refer to it as female, well, that's an issue because they're not. Whatever. Let's see here. And beyond just serving the story, there's another problem that you run into when you have a huge setting. You fill it with too many things. I've spent over 41 hours in Origins, over 142 hours in Odyssey, and just under 100 hours in Valhalla. And I'm still nowhere near close to completing all the side activities, finding all the collectibles, and meeting all the characters in each one. There's just so much to do because the big map needs a lot to fill up in order to not feel empty. The problem is especially egregious in Valhalla, which actually tries to do something fundamentally different from for an Assassin's Creed game. It doesn't tie all of its storylines and quests to symbols on the map. It's a wonderful change that has led to some effective storytelling and sense of discovery in the game, but so much of it feels wasted in the avalanche of stuff to do. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I like the way it does it, though. Maybe not 100% on the execution, but I like it still. And to be clear, I'm not even talking about the quests like finding Excalibur or lifting Mjolnir, which require you to find a lot of items hidden behind some seemingly unrelated quests. You can luck into doing that just by reading Valhalla's achievement trophy list. No, I'm talking about the really obscure things, the stuff that you will not find unless you carefully read every document and explore each and every inch of England. Like take the quest, quote unquote, to discover the fate of Victus, a long dead magister for the Hidden Ones. There's no reason to even think the quest exists. To start it, you'll need to find 5 Hidden One bureaus scattered across England. Notice notes in each one written by some guy named Victus. Discover pieces of Victus's armor that cryptically reveal his fate is still not known. And then just think to yourself, I bet I can figure this out without any prompting from the game. That search will ultimately require you to carefully observe seemingly unimportant details carved into random towers, do a little triangulation to find the location of a hidden well that's not marked on your map, discover the right book of knowledge in order to unlock the necessary ability to open a secret crypt, crack the cipher on an encrypted note, and then translate some Latin. Okay, you know what? Just throwing this one out here. This is what a lot of people would call, oh my gosh, this is great environmental storytelling. This is great quest design. This is all the stuff they say about Bloodborne and Dark Souls and all that shit. Which is it? Which is it? Do you want the characters to tell you a story like AJ does? Or do you want things to be opaque and confusing? Granted, this is a bit much, but still, I'm just saying it's kind of funny. There's no concrete reward for doing any of this, no achievement or weapon or anything beyond the joy of just figuring out another piece of the overall lore of Assassin's Creed. And there are dozens of other unmarked quests. Like, okay, so it's just, whatever. So yeah, it's exactly like Dark Souls. Like this across Valhalla that you can only find and complete through careful observation. Except the Dark Souls stuff is the only story. This is just some random piece of lore that you can get by without knowing. Some do give you concrete rewards like a powerful bow or a spear, but they're all primarily serving the purpose of fleshing out the world and telling stories. The community of players still playing Valhalla are finding new ones all the time, working together to slowly piece together more story and lore, much like the Legends of Zelda Breath of the Wild community band together to discover the game's undisclosed mechanics and secrets following its release. Okay, I don't think that's a bad thing, though. Like, if people can get that much enjoyment out of it, isn't it a good thing? It's a good thing. Sorry, weird reference there if you can pick it up. And I would think all of that is incredibly cool if it wasn't for the fact that all of these storylines are so easy to miss because Valhalla's map is massive and the main campaign is 60 to 80 hours long. But it's not supposed to be something that's easy to find. I don't know. I think it's supposed to be kind of weird and opaque like that. Like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of that stuff, but at least it's not important knowledge. It's just little fluff. It's something, hey, for those who put the work in, awesome. Here's some extra lore, but you don't need to know it. That's, I guess, why it doesn't bother me. That's a staggering long commitment for a single-player game, especially one like Valhalla that has more maps on top of England, such as Norway, where the game begins, and we'll get more through DLC, like Ireland in Wrath of the Druids, so it's not one giant map. It's one giant map and several others not as big, but still pretty big maps when you hide cool quest lines, lore-catching Easter eggs, like connections to every single mainline game in the series, or secret rewards like the best piece of musical composition for an Assassin's Creed game since Ezio's Family. Okay, behind a towering wall of other so stuff to do, it's unlikely that most of the player base is actually going to see them. Look, I will say this. I think the franchise has an issue of putting too many side stuff to do in a game. But look, if you think that Valhalla or the modern one, the recent 3 are the worst offenders, no. Go look at the fucking map of Assassin's Creed Unity. As long as like with Origins and these other ones, as long as you don't have like the stupid, hey, I took this picture-in-picture mode and I took this picture-in-picture mode. As long as you take those things off of it, it's not that bad. Look at the fucking map in AC Unity. That thing is, you can barely see any map behind all the icons. I'm just saying. For all the stuff I don't like about the modern games, the modern ones are not the most egregious offender of that. All that Valhalla, and to the extent Origins does, would be better served in a smaller setting where the players can take the time to stop and really look at the world around them. So I'd love to see Ubisoft do just that, embracing less expansive locations as the settings for its Assassin's Creed games. Plus, with the power of the next generation consoles, Assassin's Creed could create a small town or city setting the likes of which we've never seen, instead of a massive map that captures a whole country. Ubisoft could make a super detailed location where all the Xbox Series X and PS5's power is devoted to creating something incredible in-game systems, like more reactive AI, a more in-depth social stealth system, and a wider array of enemy types. Actually, that's really funny they mention a more in-depth social stealth system. I retweeted an article. I'm kind of sad I didn't pull it up for the show, but it actually went into why more games don't use social stealth, or why it's really not been developed as much as it probably should. It's because games like that really don't sell nowadays, which is kind of sad because I really like those kind of games. But you know what? I think if you want to tell me that Odyssey, Origins, and Valhalla are a little too big, because I will throw Odyssey into that one. Look, it's not Valhalla. Look, Odyssey was too big. I know. Call me out on it, but I think it was. Look, I think they were too big. They probably could have been shrunk a little bit. I don't necessarily think it's the size of the map that's the issue. I don't think that needs to be what is scaled down. I actually think it is the narrative scope that needs to be scaled down. That's my opinion. I think they need to focus more on the war between the Templars and the Assassins, or like in this game, the Hidden Ones and the whoever we're facing off against. I can't remember. But I think that needs to be what's focused on in an Assassin's Creed game. Oh, I know, shocker. That the Assassin-Templar war is what should be focused on. But again, how that then weaves itself into a modern conflict, I think that is what really makes an Assassin's Creed game great. Not just the scale. The scale of the map can be good or bad depending on the game and what they're offering and this, that, the other thing. So I don't think it's an issue of map scale. I actually think it's an issue of story scope. Just me. Where were we? And then you can also drop in a cluttered assortment of points of interest, areas small enough you can really blah, 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 blah. That was, again, what Unity had the issue with. You couldn't actually read that damn map. Smaller details are what makes Origins and Valhalla such special games. Ubisoft just gave them too much room to breathe and then overshadowed them with too much other stuff to do. Again, I kind of disagree with that. Like I said, I think it's an issue of story scope and focus rather than map. But again, tell me what you think. I'm still hoping for a Japanese Assassin's Creed. I really want one set in the Sengoku Jidai. I really, at least I believe that was the time period in which Nobunaga Oda went on his rampage. I'd love for him to either be, like one of our main protagonists, and then at the end, oh, he's a Templar or something weird like that. God damn it! I want that game to happen. I want that game to happen so bad. I know. People are gonna tell me, AJ, you have Ghost of Tsushima. True, but I really want Assassin's Creed Rising Sun, and I know a lot of other people do too. I want it. All right, guys. Final article here. CD Projekt Red made over 215 million euros. I'm going with euros, or is it pounds? That money profit in 2020. I know I'm such an American. I suck. Despite Cyberpunk 2077 refunds costing tens of millions. So yeah, recent announcements. Apparently, CD Projekt Red made a lot of money off of Cyberpunk, even with the refunds. Which, you know what? I gotta give them. I gotta give them credit for. Because I still think that game is good. And I think a lot of people are actually kind of finding it and playing it and really kind of finding that there is something here. Look, man, I'm not going to defend the state the game came out in, but you know what? I think there's something there. I think there is an enjoyable game in there. I mean, hell, I found it. I really enjoy playing it, but whatever. Article Wesley and Poole. This is of Eurogamer. Refunds of Cyberpunk 2077 failed to dent CD Projekt's sales success. In its financial report for last year, CD Projekt Red revealed 30,000 refunds were issued through its Help Me Refund program. The company spent 8.46 million PLN, on the program. However, it's worth pointing out that 30,000 refunds figures relates only to CD Projekt's own Help Me Refund program. It does not include refunds made by other shops and digital storefronts. So the total refund figure will be significantly higher. What we do know is CD Projekt has outlined 194.5 million PLN as, quote, provisions for returns, which gives us a better idea of the amount. One more time. Gives us a better idea of the amount the Cyberpunk refunds. There's something about that sentence doesn't work for me. Are costing the company. I'm going with. I think that's pounds. 37 million is a lot of money, but it's loose change compared to the amount of cash CD Projekt made last year. Cyberpunk 2077 sold a whopping 13.7 million copies in 2020, 56%. That's not how you write percent. It does multiple times. Look, maybe that's just a European thing, but here in the U.S., my professors would have beaten the shit out of me if I tried writing like that. Again, I studied this shit. I know that's not how you write percent because I've had to do it. It's literally percent one word. Of those sales were on PC, Stadia, 28% on PlayStation, 17% on Xbox, 73% of the sales. Weird that the lowest was on Xbox. You'd think that it would be higher in Xbox, seeing that it was actually, I think, promoted a little bit more with Xbox than it was with PlayStation. Huh. 70% of the sales were digital compared to 27% physical. Cyberpunk launched on the 10th of December, which means it hit that impressive sales figure in just a few weeks. CD Projekt also confirmed the total budget for Cyberpunk, which weighed in at 1.2 billion PLN. A team of 530 developers at CD Projekt worked on the game, but over 5,200 people were engaged with the project over the course of its creation. Now, the numbers that matter. CD Projekt saw revenue grow 310% to 2.1, I'm going with billion PLN last year for a profit of 1.5 billion PLN. The net profit is up 558% year on year. But the real damage was done to the company's share price, which has plummeted since the disastrous launch of Cyberpunk. Recovering that share price will no doubt be a priority for CD Projekt's bean counters. On that note, CD Projekt says it's committing to the long-term success of that game. Meanwhile, The Witcher's done extremely well. The Witcher Monster Slayer is coming this summer, and next-gen versions of The Witcher 3 are out later this year, which is weird because I think I bought a digital copy of The Witcher 3, so I can stop having to find my Witcher 3 disc that I always have buried in my stacks of games. I got it for like $10. It was either on a sale or something. I don't know. Oddly enough, goes back to that original topic. Yeah, I know. I bought it on sale. Guess what? I also bought a physical copy of that for full price. Leave me alone. Jesus Christ. No, I think this is a good thing for CD Projekt Red. There's a lot of, dollars and cents here. There's a lot of really specific accounting that I don't have the full knowledge to tell you if it's extremely good, extremely bad. But look, from how it sounds like... how to put this? I think a lot of people were thinking that what from what Cyberpunk 2077 did, it was going to kill CD Projekt. It was going to really hurt the developer. Which, I mean, other than it sounds like not sales price, other than stock price, it really sounds, which I think after showing these returns and everything moving on, and, if they can bring back some of that fan appeal in the coming year, I really think that they can get that stock price back up and continue on being the juggernaut that I think they really are. So, end of the day, I wish the best for CD Projekt. I still really like the developer, still really trust them, and hope they can move on. So, there we go, guys. I think that's going to about do it for this one. I want to say, as always, thank you so much for watching. Social media's in the description. Like, comment, you're not already. Please subscribe to the channel. I know this was kind of ranty, so if you stuck all the way through it, thank you. Also, holy crap, what's wrong with you? You can listen to my dumbass just talk really fast and go into the weeds, but hey, whatever. Whatever you find entertaining, man. This is probably going to be the only video I have up today, just because, like I said, I ate lunch or dinner, whatever. It's like 3 in the afternoon, so I don't know. In between articles, so I'm actually feeling really sleepy. I might take a nap, and by the time I wake up, probably gonna have to get ready for work. So, either way, this will probably be the only video today. Obviously, I'll have more tomorrow. Dear God, I hope I'm not in another coma. But, yeah, either way, I'm ranting. Thanks for watching, guys. Social media, like I said in the description, like, comment, you're not already. Please subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned more next time. Until then, my name's AJ Gels. This is the Untitled Chapter. I'm out.